So people are saying that braiders don't deserve to be tipped. And it's all because of a TikTok that has over 5.4 million views since it's been posted only a handful of days ago. So y'all, let's get into the tipping culture and whether or not your braider deserves to be tipped. Hey guys, welcome to my video. It's CammyJOfficial, so let's start the show. My name is Cammy. Welcome back to my channel. Let's go ahead and get right to the video. So a young lady posted a TikTok a couple of days ago and it has gone viral, okay? And it has gone viral because it questions something that is very common in Western culture, especially American culture, and that is tipping. And you know, if you've been anywhere where a service is provided, there is kind of like that silent expectation and that social pressure for you to tip. Now, this young lady said that she went and got her hair done, sat for 7.5 hours, and she made this TikTok about why she did not tip her braider, which then made people question, well, should we even be tipping braiders and hairstylists or even services that are akin to that at all? So let's go ahead and watch her TikTok.
I did not tip the girl who did my braids yesterday, and this was the first time I haven't tipped to get my hair done, and I was fueled with anxiety, especially when I hand her over the cash and she starts counting it, and I was like, I just did not feel like tipping was necessary on this service. For reference, this was $350 to get done. These are small, knotless, and this is a French curl braid. That averages out, took her 7.5 hours, $46 an hour, minus the cost of hair, so we'll just round it down to $40 an hour. She didn't have to commute. She's not paying any extra overhead because she works from home. I think that that's a really good price. How many people are making $40 an hour? I want to also add that I had to go to the ATM, which is the most inconvenient method of payment, to go get the exact amount of cash that I need for the appointment. I also had to come wash, conditioned, and blow dried, and I was the one that had to do the commuting. This is no shade, no tea, no nothing. This was the most comfortable braiding experience I've ever gotten. She was the best braider I've ever had, and I will definitely be going back to her. A lot of people say tipping is how you say thank you, but to me, saying thank you is how you say thank you. Respecting people's policies, arriving to your appointment on time, being respectful of the space that you're in, letting them take photos of their work after, and maybe telling your friends, or if you have a social media following, that to me is how you say thank you. We don't need to bump someone's $40 an hour work up to $45 to say thank you. Sue me. Sue me.
So one of the main things that stands out to me about this particular video is the fact that she's saying that this is actually the first time she has decided not to tip someone for doing her hair. And that kind of struck me as, okay, so you paid, before, and you've tipped before, but this time around you decided not to tip. She also goes into the fact of why she's not tipping is because she had to come wash and blow dried. And yeah, I'm going to tell you that this has already been controversial when it comes to hair, period, lately. Okay, a lot of people are saying that the new school hairstylists are pretty much outside of their minds by asking clients to come to them already washed, blow dried, straightened, and everything else. So that was another reason listed that she's saying, why she didn't tip. Another reason why she says she didn't tip is because she had to do the commuting. The stylist didn't have to come to her. She mentioned that the stylist did not have any type of overhead, right? So she doesn't have to pay for a seat in the salon. She does the work out of her home. She also lists the fact that she had to go get cash, right? She had to go to the ATM and pull out the exact amount, which was $350, okay, from the ATM to pay the stylist. And she thought that this was very inconvenient to her as a customer, right? Now, she did say that the braider was the best braider that she's ever had, that she felt like her style came out exceptionally well. And she brought up the points of, saying thank you is the tip, right? She's saying not giving it monetarily because she said, quote unquote, I don't feel the need to bump somebody else's prices up to 45 when they are in fact charging 40 an hour. So she broke it down and said 350 divided by that 7.5, hours that it took to do it meant that braider made $40 an hour. And then she questioned and said, well, who these days is making $40 an hour. So all of her comments generated, of course, more comments under, her TikTok. And not surprisingly, she had a lot of people who stood with her and agreed that she did not need to tip this braider. And a lot of people in her TikTok comments brought up something that I've heard for quite a while now. Actually, I've heard this saying come through and come about after the pandemic was over, and that is tipping fatigue. Tipping fatigue, y'all. The social pressure to tip in every single service circumstance, right? Whether you go get your nails done, whether you get your eyelashes done, whether you get, your eyebrows waxed, whatever service you are getting, people are saying that the pressure to tip in the United States is outlandish. People are saying, if you are going to pay almost $400 for some knotless braids, then they said that the stylist better include the tip somewhere hidden in the price, because they just believe that that is a lot of money to pay, and that the tipping fatigue on top of that is something that they don't want to have to feel. Now, the young lady in this TikTok even said in the very beginning that as the braider was counting out the money to make sure that the $350 was there, how she felt the anxiety, right? Because she decided not to tip. And I will say here in the US, of course, tipping is definitely optional. It's optional for, every service that you get, whether it be at a restaurant or wherever. Tipping is not mandatory, but we can't even lie and say that there's not that silent expectation for people to tip in those circumstances. But she says she wants to, free herself of having to think about, in every situation where a service is provided, for her having to tip. Now, she did have people who were for her and say, yes, girl, I agree. $350 for that style, okay? And then this is a whole other conversation, but people are saying they believe that she was quote unquote robbed because they don't see the style that she has being worth $350, especially for some knotless braids, even though they are quote unquote small. Now, there were people in the comments who were telling her, no, girl, you are wrong, because that person provided a service. You said it was exceptional. You said she was the best braider you've ever been to in your life. Out of the history of you getting your hair braided, you said that it was the best. And a lot of people were saying, if you feel like she gave you the very best and it was exceptional, people said you should have tipped her as the thank you. And I definitely understand that there are two schools of thoughts on it. Now, I'll give you my personal opinion. Okay, Cammy's going to tell you my opinion. Number one, I'm not paying $350 for braids. That's just me. Okay, and it's not because I'm broke. Okay, but it is because in my mind, I cannot justify $350 for a very temporary type of style, especially knotless braids. I don't care how cute they are. I'm not paying $350 for a hairstyle, especially not a hairstyle that looks like that. I don't know what the prices are in, you guys' area. And if you could please comment below and let me know if you feel like her style to you looks like it was worth paying $350. And again, this is no shade to the braider or her technique. I completely understand her price is her price. But then a lot of people were saying, well, you have to think about the competitive market, right? People were saying that where they live, that style would have been no more than $180, $185. Really, some people say that that's pushing it. So a lot of people were saying, because you paid $350, that was more than enough, because you paid, what they believe to be an exaggerated amount for a style she could have went somewhere else and got for half the price or less than half the price. But comment below and let me know how much you think the style looks like it's worth, and if you would be willing to pay $350 plus tip for that type of style. Now, when it comes to me, my opinion on this situation is I am a tipper, right? I tip my nail tech. I tip the lady that does, waxes my eyebrows. I do the tipping thing. when it is reasonable, right? If somebody gives me exceptional service and I see like they just went above and beyond, then I have no problem tipping for those services, because in my mind, if I see somebody's doing the very best that they can, then I feel like, you know what, giving a little extra tip, you know, isn't going to hurt me. Now, if that person is just giving me the bare minimum, I mean, mediocre, okay, at best, then of course I'm going to be second guessing the type of tip that I'm going to leave. But then even then, I do leave them a little something. And I guess you can blame me growing up in that Western United States tipping culture where you feel the social pressure to tip. But I'm not even going to lie. There have been plenty of instances where I have simply not tipped because I believe that the work was substandard. It was not up to par, and the person did not deliver on the things that they said that they were going to deliver to me. So when it comes to that notion of tipping, is tipping mandatory? No, certainly not. It is not mandatory. Is it socially expected? Definitely, especially here. A lot of people, again, feel anxiety when it comes to certain things because they know they're going to be looked upon if they don't, you know, tip. So when we look at this in the space of doing hair and hair services, does this mean that you shouldn't tip your braider? I'm going to say no, it doesn't mean really anything. Just because one person goes viral for not tipping the person that did their hair doesn't mean that you should be controlled in any way, shape, or form. But I feel like if you felt good and if you want to tip your braider, then by all means do so. But guys, I do hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please go ahead and give it a thumbs up. Also, please consider subscribing to my channel and clicking on that notification bell so that when you know whenever I post some more videos. But as always, y'all, stay safe, stay blessed, and I will catch you in the next video. Mwah. Bye.